laners that we currently see right now, such as Zac, such as the Sejuani that was banned out.
Yeah. Looks like we've got the stream back up and running here after a little bit of downtime, but we are good.
We will be fine.
All right. As they're just finishing doing their picks in client here, let's just go lane by lane here. Let's look at the starting with top lane, Illaoi versus Maokai. I'm kind of surprised that they still picked the Maokai after seeing the Illaoi picked for top lane. Historically, it just doesn't tend to go very well for the Maokai. That said, Maokai is one of those wonderful champions where you can go into game, you can feed all through laning phase, and still be pretty impactful in the late game. But it doesn't seem to me like Maokai is part of any specific plan on the part of STS. So I'm not sure what their intention is here yet.
Right. It looks like each part of STS just sort of... It feels like they're trying to cover all the bases, but not exactly hitting them. And they have a lot of skirmish power from that Zed, from that Nilly. Ezreal, of course. And that teamfight power coming out from Maokai and Braum. But with this lack of wave clear and this sort of lack of... It's hard to put this nicely, sort of like a proven, consistent champions. Especially in a comp like this. It's hard to see them pull this off.
STS is rolling that solo queue comp right now.
Yeah, each member looking out for themselves.
Yeah.
It's not to say that PAH are running a very meta comp themselves.
That's true, but at the very least, I feel like they've got the bases a little more covered. Although, depending on how they end up building, PAH could be lacking for a front line. I mean, yes, Illaoi can be a tanky bruiser, Blitzcrank can build reasonably tanky, but I just don't see them having a terribly good front line.
Yeah, they don't really have that front line. Blitzcrank isn't a frontline champion, and that will be the tankiest. Well, actually, not so. Blitzcrank has seen a shift in how he builds in that latest patch 8.4. And he isn't so much of that frontline as Blitzcrank anymore. These days, you usually see Blitzcrank play that sort of PO style, support the AD carry, and look for picks rather than someone that is as beefy as he used to be. So Illaoi will be that.
He can't. Well, it's hard for him to be as beefy, especially throughout the laning phase these days. Since patch 8.4, because the Relic Shield line, which has always just been a mainstay for building Blitzcrank, got a pretty sizable nerf on its on the health that it provides. It loses, I believe, 50 HP at the tier 1, something like 100 HP, and then 150 HP by the time it's a fully built item. So it's definitely not as beefy as it used to be. So it's interesting to see both teams opting for a tanky support in light of that.
Yeah, both teams just... Honestly, it's hard to come into this game with expectations because this is a very volatile game coming out. If I had to give it to a team, just sight unseen, as of right now, I feel like STS has the slight edge, just based on team comps, because though they are running a kind of a weird snowbally thing, I just don't see how PAH has the tools to survive, to pull together and get to late game and pull something together once they survive that long. Honestly, I would agree with you, because look at the teams themselves. This is PAH's style. Last two of their victories, 2-1s, they have lost the first game, and it feels like a sure strategy at this point. Use the first game, not show any of your cards, and feel out the opponents.
It's the recon game.
It is a recon game, you know.
PAH are throwing this game out as a, throwing STS a bone, giving them a chance. PAH with that
the mercy win
with that confidence play right here.
Yeah.
All right, and
well, we are heading in game pretty quick here,
and we will be able to update you with the keystones, runes. I'm sorry, not runes. Summoner spells seem pretty standard. Nothing much to say there. But keystones are something to look out for, especially with these.
Especially with this weird comp that we're seeing on both sides. All right, definitely everything in the bot lane seems pretty standard. You've got Fleet Footwork on Varus, Aftershock on Blitzcrank, Guardian on Braum, Klepto on Ezreal. So none of that really surprises me all that much. Same goes for mid lane with Brand running the Arcane Comet, Zed running the Electrocute. Both junglers opting to run Electrocute as well.
And both junglers looking for that carry jungle role.
Yep. And
So,
Ilaoi running
STS.
Klepto, and Maokai running Aftershock. So nothing too terribly surprising either in the realm of summoner spells or keystones as of yet.
Looks like both teams are showing to be a little level-headed, not going completely out of left field just yet. I am interested, however, as to the this Zed with a rune and summoner spell build like that. He's saying that if he doesn't win lane, or at the very least come out even, he will be
Pretty useless.
He will be pretty useless.
And it's also interesting. I mean, Nidalee is definitely not any kind of pure assassin, but she strikes me as out of the AP junglers, which again,
however few there are,
she is kind of assassiny, has some of those same tendencies. And I mean, it always seems like sort of a misstep to run multiple assassins in a single comp. So running a Zed with a Nidalee, I'm just not sure what these two, unless they plan on running tank Nidalee, but with an Electrocute, that it just seems kind of weird that both of these champions are in the same composition. But as always, chat, I know you love to remind me when I miss things, so definitely jump in there if I've missed something obvious.
As we say that, we are into game 1. We are in the final week of Risen Esports Dominate League, Week 10. This is the game between STS, Steel Team 6, and PAH, Pro... I don't know if I should try this. Pueri Amore Homines.
Pueri Amore Homines.
Yeah, Pueri Amore Homines.
Is Latin for, oh boy, boys love men. So thanks for that, guys.
That is some knowledge that I've gained today. Alright, coming out from blue side.
It strikes me that that PAH has a pretty strong level 1 here.
They do. They have that Braum, possibly the strongest, in my opinion, level 1 champion, and they're looking to invade STS.
Yep, they're definitely going for it.
Blitzcrank kind of is on the complete opposite side. He's stuck in
He's in trouble if he gets spotted.
Oh, they do see him.
And he will.
Blitzcrank
oh no, what is happening?
Gets hit with the concussive strikes, gets hit with 3 shots, 4 shots, and he is stunned up for a little bit of damage. Decides not to blow that. Oh, he has already blown that flash and blows that laugh as well.
Is this Rampage? I think we might be accidentally casting a Rampage stream.
Well, I do have to tell you, sir, I play in Rampage, and I have never seen
I play in Rampage as well, and I would feel like I don't get caught like that. Yeah. So, I don't know, Rampage...
Plus
the deeper parts of Rampage, maybe?
Kill went over to Ezreal, which helps him quite a bit. Going that Kleptomancy Ezreal, he will be able to get an even earlier Sheen plus Tear of Goddess.
We do have Captain Wing jumping in chat to say to share his theory. He feels that the strategy here is to use the double Electrocute procs on Nidalee and Zed to camp mid and kill Brand, who has very low mobility. We'll have to see
it working. That is a very good point there, and this also maybe Brand feels the same way. Maybe Hayter loses feels the same way. Taking that barrier also. Nobly, most likely for that said death mark. But with this early lead that STS has gained, they are able to do what they want right now.
And that's pretty significant, because that kill actually went on to the ADC. All of the support, the assist gold, kind of got spread out to the rest of the team. So everyone is going to be just a little bit ahead in their builds for the first chunk of the game.
Yeah, Ezreal looking for that sort of play, and we do pan over top lane, but top lane has not much to be said there. It's top lane right now in Season 8's. And the most exciting.
It's been an island. It's going to continue to be an island for the foreseeable future, even with the massive round of adjustments that that Riot made to a lot of the mainstay top lane champions. I don't see much of that changing anytime soon.
Yeah, and focus right here is in this bot lane on the AD carries. Maybe this game not so much focus on the AD carries as your usual metagame in Season 8, as Brand, Nidalee, Zed, and Riven all have potential to carry. And there's a Flash Force out of Sir Luxlog. It still takes a lot of damage. Gets the Electric Boot proc down as well from that Nidalee.
Yeah.
Those give Maokai a lot of breathing room.
Nidalee pathing down. Actually, both junglers seem to be pathing in for a gank on mid, so we could be seeing significant early skirmish here about to happen.
Nidalee really looking for a gank down onto mid lane. Zed looking to jump in as well. However, Sir Glockla looking for second blood. Hater loses, forced to flash out. Still doesn't pop the barrier just yet. Gets a stun onto Zed. Gets the passive down on Zed too. Does not.
Flash burned on each side. Riven opts not to join the combat.
Yeah, Riven decides to just back off, as she was very low from stealing away the camps.
It has been pointed out here that Nidalee has bought a machete as her first item instead of going for the other component of the jungle item.
Yeah, not exactly.
Which seems to suggest more of an AD focus.
It could be possible. Actually, I personally like to think that it is because of how runes interact in this early game.
I really hope so, because if they've got Zed and they've got Ezreal, and the only other AP champion there is Maokai, who's probably going to be trying to build tanky, it seems weird to go toward AD with Nidalee.
I think it's because when you take Domination, that adaptive AD/AP that you get will be AD in the early game. You don't get adaptive AP in the early game, which is why Nidalee went for this basic attack build.
That's true. So you foresee that Nidalee will shift. Yep, and we do see the amplifying tome getting bought here, which seems to suggest she's going to try to pivot toward a more AP centric build.
True, and there is no more Tracker's Knife now. We are in patch 8.4, so you only get a choice of Skirmisher Saber and the other one, Chilling Smites.
Duelists. Skirmisher Saber and oh man, I can't believe I'm blanking on this.
I'm blanking on this one as well. However, the Chilling Smites. But both these junglers are definitely ones to use the Skirmisher Saber to get that red smite down.
Yeah.
So
starting to see, kind of as I predicted, Illaoi gaining a very sizable CS lead over Maokai.
Huge CS lead, double the CS already.
And that's without even accounting for the advantage she's going to slowly gain having Klepto.
However, this Maokai is calling over the Nidalee for a secondary gank. Illaoi's flash is still down. However, Illaoi uses that leap of faith, tries to go on Kirk Master, gets 2 strikes of the tentacle down. Maokai is forced to back off, keeps on getting the strikes down from the tentacles, keeps on getting the healing down from the tentacle passive, but Zed comes out for a death mark. That is a dead Illaoi. And
very unfortunate. I don't know if that was a missed MIA call on Brand's part or something, but if it had if Zed had not joined combat up there at top lane, Illaoi might have actually managed to pick up the double kill there.
It would have been entirely possible. All those extra sustain that comes out of Cryptomancy, they would not have expected that. Plus, the passive from Illaoi's Q heals her for a huge amount. I believe 10% of her missing health. Maybe it was nerfed, but approximately that much every single time a tentacle hits.
And part of what might have happened there is just the lack of vision that's happening here now that it's not just that it's no longer the standard, it's not even an option to run Tracker Knife. So it's been interesting to see how the various teams, specifically the junglers, have been working to try to mitigate that loss of vision early on.
Yeah. Now, it is interesting to know that even though they are down 3 kills, PAH are only down about the gold value for 1 kill. This is mostly, in fact, almost entirely due to the Alawi farming up with Kleptomancy and topside, and their jungler
Alawi sitting on literally double the CS of Maokai, and Riven's been playing a much more passive jungle game. I don't believe that I've seen any significant ganks come down, but she is staying significantly ahead on farm, and that's probably accounting for a lot for how small the gold gap is right now.
And Riven looking to just... Well, she is a little bit behind on her build. She will not be getting her warriors as soon as Nilly will be getting her Runeblade jungle item name.
Yeah.
Runic Echoes.
Runic Echoes,
Runic
yes.
Echoes, that's the one. So Nilly will be able to hit that sort of early game pseudo power spike faster than Riven can.
It'll be interesting to see how Nidalee builds as an AP jungler, because everyone talks about how the AP mid mages have been affected by the massive changes to AP itemization, but AP junglers are going to start feeling that as well, especially with how much movement speed has gotten shifted around between items.
Speaking of movement speed, that new item Spellbinder is, once to know, a hugely powerful item coming out. Now, Brandon's not the type to use that, but would you say Nilly is the type to use that, to have the burst of movement speed and AP?
I feel like she would like to have that, yes, especially since she kind of hurts for hard CC, so having another help to catch up to people is just going to be really, really key for a Nidalee jungle, I think.
And we see this Riven might be looking to make her first impact on the map, looking for a bot lane gank in order to transition into a tower or dragon. But STS, they're aware of this. They don't want to overstep any bounds that might have been made by PAH.
Riven, of course, is level 6 now, so she's got her ultimate up and available, which makes ganks a lot easier with the damage based on missing HP. And the just general stat steroid that she gets from it.
We do see the grasping roots come out from the Maokai. Hits down onto Alawi, however, grasping roots is used for CC and not damage, and CC does nothing when you have no follow-up. But we see the mid laner and jungler of STS looking for some deep roam, putting down some very deep vision, which is very good. However, Riven is already on the other side mirroring that vision.
I would expect that Nidalee and Zed are both going to roam. They're going to try to pick up a kill either at mid or top, and then immediately go to try to take Rift Hair.
We have the mid. The Seer misses out from the brand. However, Blade of Exile comes out from Roche, looks for the kill, uses that ultimate, but does not finish.
Ooh, that burst is
there's the
nutty!
Death Mark coming back out. Roche is dead. And 3 doesn't look to continue, takes the free kill and backs off. Riven really just overstepping, not really expecting that much damage coming out from Zed. Focused too hard on the Nilly there.
Well, there's a thing with Riven players where it's really easy to get tunnel vision when you get into your ultimate and feel like you're invincible. Yeah. But it wasn't quite enough to get the Nidalee, and it wasn't quite enough to not die to Zed.
Right, so now Brand's barrier is back up, so I'm not expecting a dive coming out from this Zed here, especially without the ultimate. Yeah, it looks like they are backing off. This first dragon is an ocean dragon, which is why 11 minutes.
This could actually be really, really key to help. I believe this could actually be really key to help PAH get back into the game, because Riven suffers so much from a lack of sustain, and this is if anything doubly so in the jungle. So I think that this could really help Riven, especially picking up the Ocean Drake.
That is very true. It would help, but it seems like in the minds of PAH, it doesn't help them enough, which is why this dragon has gone untaken by both teams. 12 minutes in this game. Honestly, not the latest dragon, but with the amount of pressure that STS have seemed to exert over the map, you'd assume that they could have gone for this.
Well, So far, this is going pretty similarly to... This is going pretty much just like you expected it to, where STS has really good individual lanes for snowballing, with the exception, of course, of Maokai. But honestly, they really are... although they are going for that Ocean Drake take right now, and they do get it. But up until that moment, they had been playing very solo queue style, even with the roams that they did take. Very, very built around, let's go get the kills and snowball everyone early.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, have the changes to Cloud Drake come out yet? Did they come out in patch 8.4, or is it still in PvE?
I do not believe that they came out in 8.4. I think they hit the PvE, but they are not.
Alright, and as I say that, they're going for a play down onto Shredderman. Shredderman gets hit with 4 stacks of blows. The Arcane Barrage misses, and there is the lack of damage on Shredderman. As I say that, he takes another shot from Edgeworth's Q, looks to get a final Q down onto the Varus, but is blocked up by the Blitzcrank. And as I say that, 3H just so far ahead, gets that dust play, gets that easy kill onto the Riven. And there is a dive coming out from Corey Liu, but goes a little bit too far. Takes the turret shot, gets hit with the Seer underneath the tower. 3A comes back, cleats it up, a 2-for-1. This Zed is getting humongous right now.
Yep, it's starting to get a little bit scary. Gets a couple more kills, just one more item, and Zed's gonna be able to basically just roll all over the map and do as he pleases.
2 more kills under the belt and some CS. I believe he'll be able to just get another Serrated Dirk plus another longsword here. 14 minutes of game. He is up half an item from where he really should be.
Yeah, it's really hard to do too much against that much lethality.
A lot of lethality coming out here, but not very much armor on the other side. Braum gets pulled in, but it looks like
that. I hate when you proc Winter's Bite with a really long range ability, so the stun goes down on your opponent. You can't do anything about it. Oh, it's frustrating.
It looks like how frustrating it is. Steel Team 6 still have the advantage in pretty much every single lane here. The mid lane tower for the side of PAH is extremely low. Looks to be about less than 500 health now, or maybe a little bit more. Turrets were buffed in recent memory. That's one thing I have not done.
You might have the makings of a skirmish with Braum getting sandwiched here.
Yeah, Braum getting hit up. And
oh my word!
Braum jumping out, gets
hitbox, please.
That is just a dead Braum there. I was expecting to pop the plant to go over the wall. You know,
yeah, but it ended up being unnecessary. It's interesting to note here that, with the exception of that ward from, STS on PAH's blue buff, the vision is kind of going along really strict battle lines. You don't see too many back wards, you don't see too many deep wards from either side.
Yeah, Riven trying to do what she can to mirror that vision that's STS have gone in the red side top jungle, but there's only so much she can do by herself, and while she has the vision, she does not have the damage to follow up. Also interesting to note, she decided to go for 2 more longswords rather than finishing up her warrior's enchantments. And she is a little caught out.
That certainly seems to indicate to me that she wants...
It flashes out, gets hit with the... Oh, and she will barely make it out. I don't believe the... Oh my goodness.
Nope, Deathmark catches her.
Deathmark plus that final proc of Electrocute from said Deathmark. It's barely enough to catch her out.
If I had to guess, I would say that Riven... Yeah, no, okay, there we go. There's her warrior enchantment. I kind of half expected her there since she had started with the 2 longswords, and bought the Caulfield's Warhammer, but not purchased the warrior upgrade for her jungle item. I would kind of have expected her to just jump straight into a Youmuu's there, but it looks like she will finish her warrior enchantment and go ahead and start heading toward Youmuu's or Duskblade as her second item.
And I've said this already, but I'm going to keep saying this. Zed is getting more and more out of hand when he is able to just jump on that Riven like that. And here's a note. Riven died from the Electrocute proc. That means Zed only hits Riven twice. When she gets hit down for like 40% of her HP from 2 attacks from this Zed, and then dies to Deathmark and Electrocute proc. That is severely out of hand, severely dangerous for
he
PAH to deal with.
He is sitting on 208 attack damage so far, which of course is
pre-20 minutes.
Yep, which is going to mean some nasty, nasty damage from his abilities.
Yeah,
not to mention his strong auto attacks.
A while back, the side of STS did take Rift Herald and now decided to use it for that first turret in the bot lane. Now, once again, that did not go to expectation. Honestly, I expected the mid lane turret to go down before the bot lane turret, but
I believe that we... See, here's where we're going to run into some trouble with STS, because STS, like we said, does lack the wave clear.
They do, so it'll be hard
Zed,
to see
Zed is pushing by himself, but he just can't push it in and close the deal as quickly as a champion like Lux would be able to.
He does finish off the turret, so this will give STS a lot of breathing room, especially since the dragon is coming up soon in 18 seconds. They're able to get deep wards without very much risk to themselves in the eastern jungle of red side.
It is astonishing, of course, that this is still less than a 3k gold
Zed
lead
fancies his
for
chances
STS.
with the Alawi, but that Leap of Faith takes down the Zed from his spirits. This Zed decides that he can kill everybody except for Alawi, so now the Zed knows his boundaries, and the shutdown gold, very nice little sum going back into Alawi. And this Alawi is just very far ahead of this Maokai right now, up 70 CS, and there is a little bit of connection issues. The game has been paused, 19 minutes in. A little bit of connection issues from the Zed.
It's possible, of course, that that was the reason for the death to Alawi there, although, you know, likely excuse. I honestly, at that moment, had chalked it up to just overconfidence, which, you know, it happens at almost every level of play.
Alawi is she doesn't have any tank items, but she has that. She's past that health threshold, I think, for Zed to just one-shot her. And she does have quite a bit of damage herself, especially onto this Zed with no armor. Alright, so 19 minutes in this game. STS, they have the front foot. Only 2k gold lead, but that gold are on very critical members.
And they've got a lot of map control right now, having 2 outer turrets down and still retaining all of their turrets, although I don't know how much Nidalee's going to be able to do to stop Alawi from just man-moding down this top turret.
Yeah,
so
that is a good thing to note. Beyond her exceptional ganks in the early game, this Nidalee has not been up to very much. She has gone. She did sneak that Rift Herald, which helped secure that bot lane turret, but there's a high probability that turret was going to go down regardless.
Yeah.
So it seems like Nidalee is it almost feels like that STS is so far ahead. This Nidalee is lost for things to do, because Nidalee relies on that gank, relies on that sort of stealth, and
everything has stayed so pushed up for the most part because of the sheer advantage that STS is pushing. That
not much.
Looks like we're getting back into it here.
Getting back into it here, and PAH look for a little bit of damage onto bot lane turret, but Maokai should be able to get there in time to save it, and he will.
Looks like Riven wants to actually get up there and reinforce the push, maybe get a kill onto Nidalee and help Alawi take that top turret, maybe regain some map control.
Personally, I think it's a good idea. The top turret is very low. They know where the bot lane of STS are, they know where the Maokai is, and they know that Zed is dead.
I actually think that if PAH can push down the turret top, they will probably be back to either even or up in gold.
I believe, yeah, currently they are down only 600 gold, and taking a turret will even it up. And
yeah, actually, it's kind of crazy, but Zed dying there actually did a lot to put PAH back in this game.
Quite so, but PAH, honestly, they're not playing like it. They still have, that's it. Even though he died, he still exerts a huge amount of control. Alawi is the only champion that threatens Zed, and Alawi is about to get threatened herself. Gets jumped on, gets 3 hits of concussive blows.
Ooh.
Glacial Fissure misses, but they still jump onto Alawi. The damage is enough to take down.
That's what I would like to call a zoning ult when I play and miss my ults, but
it was all planned.
In this case, it actually was.
And now PAH have to just sort of clean up the dregs, try to keep this last outer turret alive. But it's not enough. 4 members of SEAL Team 6 are coming up here. The last member, Maokai, still has teleports, so we can have all 5 members come top lane in the blink of an eye. 3-8 goes in for some poke onto the Brand. Oh, the teleport comes in from Maokai. Maokai in the back line missed the grasp moves, and this Brand is still unhit. They're focusing onto the Blitzcrank. Blitzcrank stays alive with the bear's amount of health, so does Nimley. Nimley heals herself back up. That's quite a big heal.
It is interesting. I just noticed it is interesting to see here Brand opting to build Haunting Guise, which seems to suggest Liandry's as a second item, which of course no longer provides any flat magic pen, instead providing an increase in magic damage over time spent in combat.
Honestly, this is one of those times I would have to say that he should have built the new Merlinomicon. I wouldn't say improved, because Merlinomicon used to be the best mage item in the game, and now it is at best a
It's more of the Grievous Wounds item now.
Grievous Wounds, definitely something that you need versus the Maokai versus the Nidalee.
That's true.
Now, perhaps this Brand is not quite sure. I don't see Brand as a champion to stay in.
To stay in combat. The only reason that I could see to build the new Liandry's Torment, I would say, would be his ultimate. If you're all-inning with his ultimate, you're staying in, you're doing damage over time, and that maybe would make sense.
Yeah, that's nice.
But it's still very early in the patch cycle for 8.4.
Passive was nerfed, but Liandry still has that DOT passive, and as I say, that STS secures that Drake.
STS seems to be rallying pretty nicely from that momentary hiccup with Zed dying at top lane. It is possible that that really was just a connection problem.
Alright. For STS's sake, they certainly hope so, and that the Zed is not feeding. In that last fight, even though neither team came out with a kill, STS were able to do enough damage to PAH to zone them off the turret and get that final turret. There's currently 3 turrets to 1. Entire outer ring of turrets is down far side of PAH.
Now here's the problem that I anticipate STS is going to run into. They have to work hard and push up a lane painstakingly just for Brand to come in and annihilate a wave with a single ability.
That's true.
So it kind of remains to be seen how much this is actually going to be able to close out a game.
Yeah, it's really up to side of PAH just keep themselves alive at this point. Keep as much of their structures alive. Not really looking for fights. It looks like Alawi is trying to get that outer turret down. It is very low, and she does take it. She still has that teleport up in case they need it. As STS siege down the mid lane. I just say that there is not much wave clear, and this Grasp Roots will zone STS off the turret, but there's no minions alive, so in the end, Maokai ult's blown for nothing.
So, now we kind of have a lull as they're moving around the map. Although it looks like they're going to try to collapse onto top.
They're collapsing the Alawi, and this Alawi might be backing out a little bit too late. She ends up getting turret, so honestly I would say even if Alawi dies here, it will be pretty worth it. And gets that test of spirit down, Leaves Faith rather, but is out of range of her tentacles and ends up dying without much ceremony. But now it's 3 turrets to 3, all the outer turrets on top side.
If Zed doesn't see this coming, he could be in a lot of trouble, but his ward is going to save him coming in.
Yeah. And now 10 kills to 3. Gold is still pretty much even. 1,000 gold separates these two teams, which is negligible at this point.
It's kind of crazy. I mean, they both have an even number of turrets, but oh wow, well that's a big part of it. Alawi up by 85 CS against her top lane opponent.
Yeah, Alawi looking to just It's been a while since the player himself has been relevant, but looking to flame Horizon, the Maokai here, playing that split push game, not really grouping up with the team, but not really need to either.
It's interesting because despite the fact that they are so down in kills, basically every single player on PAH is up in kills against their counterpart on STS except for Varus.
Except for Varus.
And that I imagine is probably where all of the gold on PAH's side is coming from.
Yeah, the bot lane has been pretty quiet at this point. Little thing to note from when we last talked about it, Brand has gone for that Oblivion Orb, the new item that builds into Merlin on God at this point, so it seems like he reached across and took our advice. Decides to go for the item.
He wants that magic penetration.
Yeah.
Now, I'm noticing something here as I look at the scoreboard, and currently the highest vision score in the game, well, second highest vision score in the game is Zed side of STS, as he has been making incredible use of the Duskblade to just control vision around the map, and he's been laying plenty of control wards as well.
Yeah. You see that bot side, those the vision, honestly. 5 minutes beforehand, almost all of the wards in that eastern jungle belonged to side PH. Now only half of them belong to PH. The other half now controlled by STS, and a lot of it was just strides made by the Zed pushing up in that bot lane and creating a lot of room for STS to vision ward up. Now split screen.
Oof, narrowly missed.
Barely missed. Hitbox not helping there. Sugarman gets hit with the final take of the Glacial Fissure, but flashes out. Phoenix don't like die for his troubles though, but here come the backside. The Brand is in. He's hitting, and he's trying to take members of STS down. This fight is really, really convoluted. Corey is 94, ends up dying inside. Malka goes and tries to take down that Varus, but now comes the Zed. Zed cleans up the... Let's crank. Zed cleans up... Oh, I'm sorry. This fight is honestly just all over the place. It looks like PH have won the team fight in some strange convolution. Perfect Chaos looking to do what he can, poking out PAH, but...
And
PAH
I would imagine they try for Baron here.
Yeah.
Ezreal has some small chances to steal or maybe get a kill with the ultimate, but
that one
Brand
last hit might be
solo.
enough. Brand is very low, and so is Varus. They cannot do this. Roche goes in, gets the challenge smite down, forces the flash outs of Varus, not Varus, Ezreal.
And there will be no Baron here. Oh man! Now, heading back and talking through that team fight for a moment, I was ready to say that so far out of position, being so deep into STS's front line, but honestly, he was really making good use of all of that bonus health from the Rod of Ages, from Leander's Torment, from his whole build actually.
Yeah, that's true. Every single item he gives
he's very beefy for an AP mid, and he was able to turn in damage and really just turn that whole team fight around, ending in a 4-for-1 and almost a Baron take, which in turn was stopped by some pretty masterful harass from Ezreal.
Going a little bit further back, however, how that fight all started, the max range Glacial Fissure coming out onto Varus, forcing Varus to just blow a seal, blow his flash instantly. After that initial knock-up and damage, there was no more damage coming down onto Varus. He was sitting at low health for the majority of that fight. And it was mostly 3/8, not being there.
Boy. With every Cloud Drake that STS picks up, though, more and more of PAH's split push and mobility advantage is just eroding away, though. Because at this point, they've got 2 Cloud Drakes, and by the time you have 3 Cloud Drakes, that is basically like an extra Moby Boots being on your entire team. So at this point, STS is sitting on some very high mobility and probably is going to have more soon.
So all the dragons in this game have been taken. Now the outer dragons will start spawning. All 3 of them have been taken by side STS. So,
although important to note, gold lead there is no gold lead.
There's no gold lead. 100% even gold right now. That's incredible. Now, after that last fight, I believe it was a 4-for-1 in favor of PAH, and it seems like that was all that was needed to even up the gold. Still, PH looks like they're playing on the back foot, not really making any moves here. Oh, and this was...
STS is running into some real trouble because with the exception of those dragons, they're not doing much to convert their influence and their map control into further objectives. And like I said, a big part of that is due to the fact that they're very lacking in wave clear. They're very lacking in split push, but...
Yeah, they have to spend a lot of time clearing out the waves. And here comes the grasping roots from the Maokai. Gets the flash W down onto the Blitzcrank. Blitzcrank is completely caught out. That will be a dead Blitzcrank, but it's up to PH to turn back. And that is amazing.
Wow, that
from
damage from the brand.
That is a dead Maokai. That is a dead Braum. The two tanks are the ones that were bursted down. God knows what will happen to the squishy members. And that's a for one. Great turn.
I had my doubts as to why Brand would build Leandri's Torment, and this appears is why. Because he recognizes because Hey There Losers recognizes that PAH is lacking in front line.
He's looking for something. He's looking for Varus. Gets that death mark onto Varus. Varus will die now from the death mark coming down, but 3A is straight back. I would say this is still in favor for PAH, even though it's a 1-for-1. There are only 2 members versus 4 on the side of PAH as Blitzcrank has respawned.
And they take, for the first time in the game, a decisive, recognizable gold lead. Only 1,000, but that's something. Yeah, that's a start.
And they will be able to hold on to it because, as far as we've seen, even though they had the gold deficits, they have been slowly crawling back as the game went on, and that is due to this team comp. No, STS.
I'll tell you what, I don't see too many ways at this point that STS can stop losing all these team fights besides just Zed doing his job, being an assassin, and getting onto Brand as fast as possible.
A miracle pick at this point to get rid of one of the carries. I do have to say, we haven't really seen the potential of this Roman come out yet.
That is true.
You know, here and there making trouble. But all the focus of the damage comes out from this Varus, from this Brand.
That is true. He did actually build Runons as his second item, though, which makes sense, seeing as how their team kind of lacks in... seeing as how the other team kind of lacks in wave clear. Buying Runons seems to really enhance Varus's ability to push and to wave clear, and really pushing that advantage that they have over STS is going to be pretty crucial here. As we saw how quickly after that one skirmish that was just a 2-for-1, and they were still able to push down that mid turret so fast afterwards.
Yeah. Just STS looking to just barely clear out these waves. Here's something to note, Ezreal has not decided to go for the full blue Ezreal build, decides to go for the standard on-hit Ezreal. Which will just have even less. It means even less wave clear for the side of STS, you know. No. Pretty much the only ability that really does quote unquote AOE damage at this point is Zed's Q. Yeah, that is not much. Phoenix decides to face check a brush, has to jump out, gets hit with a max range spear plus the concussive blows. That's a dead Blitzcrank.
It has to be said, Blitzcrank is kind of revealing a troubling habit of getting caught out. And allowing those picks is how STS is going to stay in the game.
Over here, Alawi is still split pushing, looking to take that bottom lane turret. Maokai has not returned to challenge her. Alawi's teleport is still up. She decides to keep pushing. And this is the crucial fight. This is where it all happens. The game is on knife's edge right now. This one fight will totter up from one side or the other.
Alawi is deciding, though, to stay on there instead of TPing in.
Maokai has not looked to even back yet. And PAH are doing a very good job of harassing. And Alawi's still going. There's the ultimate coming down. Death mark onto Shredderman. And that Arcane Barrage is what's needed to finish off the Varus. Now, Brand has to run for his life. He does not have anything. That's a 2-for-0. Ooh.
Alawi's going to keep pushing. She's going to go for more. Excellent coordination on the part of PAH.
That vision will come out from Roche.
Because you notice the rest of the PAH's team is not going to all in here. They're just harassing. They're trying to delay the take as much as possible to allow Alawi to get as much value.
It doesn't matter because Zed cannot fight Alawi, and here comes Gressmer. It's looking to catch down, and this Blitzcrank gets caught one more time. It is a story as old as time. That's kind of depressing to say.
And yet, even 7 kills, 3 dragons down,
PAH still finds themselves slightly up on gold, and the Baron wasn't even taken.
They're looking to take this Elder Dragon as compensation for their failed Baron. And they
Which
will get
could be
counter.
really helpful, because Elder Dragon did, of course, get a buff to its reward in 8.4.
Yeah, this is a 3 Dragon Elder Dragon now. These are 2 Cloud Drakes and an Ocean Drake, so it's not exactly the most team fight impactful.
Kind of looked like Ezreal there. I'm not sure whether Ezreal shot that ulti up there to try to check whether Baron was getting taken.
I don't think he can 1v4, personally. Just a thought, but it looks like he's still trying to. Gets a lot of damage onto the Braum.
Brand can clean this up, though, I bet.
Brand can clean this up.
Oh, look at that.
And here comes the bounces. That is just very good cleanup. However, it is a top lane traded for the support, so not exactly the best option there, but they do take the Elder Drake off one member of STS. Zed is a little bit far up, a little bit away from his team. He decides to go in on Zvere's, and he does get the hit down to Zvere's. Zvere's does not have Guardian over. Oh, he dies before.
Like I said, though, getting Varus is, like you said, though, getting Varus is that damage is actually coming from the Brand. He needs to shut down that Brand, but he's going for the easy kills, not the right kills.
Alright, this Varus is 3 items now. Has that finished play of the Rune King, and that is a flash jump in. Nidalee.
Very skillful play from the Nidalee there, and excellent job from Ezreal backing her up. Blitzcrank is gonna go down again.
Blitzcrank once more time. That, oh my god, that is a huge crit coming out from Nidalee.
Somebody needs to remind Phoenix that he is not playing Singed.
And now, for the 3rd time, STS decide to start up the Baron. This time they have a much better chance, however, as there is no challenging smite on the other side.
Yes, with Riven down, there's no real way to steal this.
Brand trying to do his darndest here, however, he does have that Pyroclasm. Looking to get some trips in. Alawi decides to not go in, and they will just hand this Baron over.
And with both Elder Dragon and Baron. Oh, this is the test. If STS can make something happen now, can pull together and actually push objectives, they could stand to come pretty close to ending the game.
Yeah, so it seems that even though at this point in the game where the items favor PAH, STS have been able to play their comp right, have been able to cash out the right members, and that's what kept them in this game so far.
What I'd like to see more of, I think, what I'd like to see for STS to win the game at this point is focus. Focusing on taking some objectives at this point, using the influence that they've gained, and not to mention the Elder Dragon and the Baron buffs that are on their team, and shove a lane and take an inhibitor back. And PAH, obviously, besides not letting that happen, needs to capitalize on the inhib that's down and pressure the map.
They're looking to use this Baron buff as pressure. Zed returning to his old haunt in the bot lane. However, this Alawi has some pretty big items, almost finishing her build. Even though Zed has a lot of penetration, I don't think he can penetrate through all that health on this Alawi.
I wonder at this point if Alawi can 1v1 Zed.
That is a thought to consider, as finally 39 minutes in this game, STS managed to break the inner ring of turrets and look to siege up on the inhibitor ring as well. They're not stopping here. But there's that wave click coming out from the Brand. And showing the obvious disadvantage.
I'll tell you what, I actually would much rather have seen Zed join up with his team at mid and siege that inhibitor turret, but because now he has to reset, he really doesn't have much of a choice. If he stays, he's gonna die!
Yeah, Alawi's still going on him, getting that last hit down. Alawi has that red buff, forcing the procs out, forcing the flash out of both sides. Alawi looking for that one last hit. Or it might not be in range. Braum is there for support, and this Zed will survive with an inch of his life.
Alawi needs to drag them back toward Brand, so Brand can burn down the tank.
Alawi does not have that Leap of Faith, however, and she is very tanky. Has that Syrinx Gauge in fact procced, so she does even more damage. This is a very scary Alawi. Honestly, at this point, nobody in this game can 1v1 her. I don't believe so.
I would agree with you.
Also, the death stance. That's point just... It's redundant.
I would even venture to say that Alawi can kill just about any 2 members of STS.
It is
You just
entirely
need
possible.
so much to actually be able to fight her at this point.
Now, here's the note. Alawi has surpassed that flame horizon, now currently 117 CS over her opposite lane. However, on the other side, Ezreal mirrors that over the bears. Ezreal almost 100 CS on the bears.
STS now turning the screw. They're doing exactly what I said that they needed to do to win, and PAH isn't doing what they need to be doing because they're not using their split push capacity, especially now with Alawi having TP up and Maokai having it down. They really need to be spreading out a little bit and pressuring, but they're meeting STS on STS's terms, fighting these 5v5s, and it is not working for them.
Yeah. Zed finally gets the fruit for his efforts, finally finishes off that inner ring, and how long has it been? Maybe 3 minutes ago, none of the inner ring of turrets for PAH were down. Now all 3 are down. STS, it seems like they have regained their footing through that little bump in the road in the game. Now, as it comes to the game, this Maokai is huge. I do not believe that they will be able to pull off that Brand Varus combo again.
Well, we'll have to see. I think it'll all come down to how skillfully Maokai can leverage his ultimate in these late game team fights. Because so far I've noticed some Maokai ultimates in the game that I loved, that were very impactful and really turned the tide of a team fight, and I've seen some ultimates that just accomplished nothing. So if Maokai can really get in there, discern properly when to hold and when to use his ultimate, I think the team fights will go in STS's favor every single time.
And we said that 2 members might not be enough for Alawi, but here comes a third, uses that leap of faith, and here comes a fourth. Okay, I believe 4 is definitely the breaking point, but Riven comes in for that return kill, but gets hit with that grasping roots. In the end, forced the Guardian Angel out, and this is a horrible fight for PAH. PAH still look to get this done though, and Roach goes in.
Why are they
staying? Does not get the Blade of Exile. There's not enough damage, and this is 2 kills for nothing for a side of STS. It's just baffling why they decide to fight after Alawi ends up getting caught out, and Riven as well. At the point, you just have to cut your losses. Varus has finally gotten that GA for the second.
I honestly don't see why Riven went in there at all. Like, Riven needed to get out as soon as she saw Alawi getting collapsed on and having very little health left. But I guess she thought that she could get in there and clean up the team fight. The 4 members of STS that were still very close to full health, but nothing doing.
And here are all 5 members going on to that Elder Dragon once again. Dragon spawning in 5 seconds as STS clear out some of the wards. I don't think PAH has anything to challenge this. This will definitely be a free Elder Dragon going over the side of STS.
They don't have anything. They don't even have it warded.
Yeah. Oh, here's something else. Finally, the gold lead has grown to something that will take more than just a few team fights to come back in. Almost a 10k gold lead at this point in the game.
Yep, and with STS's inhibitor taken early by a down, and in fact the opposite inhibitor on PAH taken down, any chink in the armor that PAH had to lean on is just gone.
Seems like PAH are sort of lost as to what to do here. Alawi wants to keep split pushing, but she'll just get jumped on again, like last time. Here comes Zed jumping onto the Brand. That is the Brand, even through.
There you go. This team fight is now over, I guarantee it, because Zed finally did
and here
what
comes
he
that
needed to do.
leap of faith, but it's not enough. But Alawi's still alive. Alawi keeps on getting heals back, but ooh, one last hit from
all he needed to do was get on Brand and kill Brand, and he did exactly that.
2 members dead. And the third one's Guardian Angel pop just for the
Oh my god!
That max range spear. And seems like the team decided to stick her out this game. Oh, jumping forward very far there.
They are pushing to end with just 2 members of PAH still up. Oh, and Maokai still has his ultimate.
Stream went a little awkward there, and is somehow pushed away to the end. But long story short, the victory goes over the side of STS. Not quite sure what happened there.
1-0 for STS. PAH now, if they want that top seed, are gonna have to win 2 games in a row.
Yeah. Honestly, this is however, going to this you know, I did kind of expect this. This was a risk count from both sides, but this was PAH's style to head into the next game with their you know, tails down, but it might just work out in their favor as they see STS's gameplay style.
And I'm looking at the damage graphs now, and I'm noticing, wow, as much impact as it looked like Zed was having, Ezreal actually significantly outstripped him in terms of champion damage, coming in at a whopping 36,841. That is incredible.
Incredible amount of damage. And looking at the damage back there, that Varus was nuts, so to speak. That Varus was not there. Only dealt 9,000 damage in that whole game. Less than every single member except for the 2 supports on both sides.
Indeed, indeed. So, right off the bat, if you had to give MVP for Game 1 to someone, what do you think?
That is a tough one because it seemed like all members of STS had to band together to do what was right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I had to give it to someone, man, it's really hard, but for me it definitely feels like a toss-up between Zed and Ezreal. One of those two.
Because Ezreal's power was not as noticeable as Zed's, you know, flashy plays.
I mean, it wasn't noticeable while I was watching, but I go...
And it seems like...
He dealt an incredible amount of damage.
Yeah, it seems like PAH didn't notice it either.
Yep. So, oh man, how it basically breaks down, in my opinion, is that STS ran a team that had very little split push, very little wave clear. PAH ran a team that had very little front line, and that meant that STS was always going to be favored in scenarios where it was a 5v5 team fight, and PAH was always going to be favored in scenarios where it was split push and the action was very scattered across the map. And STS was able to keep keep the match a kind of game that they wanted it to be. They were able to keep the action very focused, keep bringing it back to these 5v5 team fights, and ultimately that is what won them the game, I believe.
Yeah,
so it'll be interesting to see what happens. It'll be interesting to see PAH tries to whether PAH works a little bit harder here to try to establish a front line during draft, to see if they do any targeted bans based on this first game, because I definitely think that they're going to want to either counter or ban Zed, probably Ezreal. I don't think they should ban Zed, but if I were in their shoes, I would definitely be looking at my own mid lane picks and trying to find something that could stop Zed from getting ahead so early.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't quite say it was the Zed pick as to why PH were able to get ahead so early. I might have to chalk it up to how PH played the entire early game. The Nelly plays and the lack of Riven counter initiation, counter jungling. Just sort of, it seemed like STS, PH just sort of lets STS roll over onto them.
Yeah.
Now, teams queue up for this second game. Now this draft really it wasn't what I expected. It wasn't really what anybody expected. So I'm wondering if PAH decided to go to faithful metas rather than try something extreme.
Well, it's like you said. They do have this habit of losing game 1 and then winning 2 and 3. So maybe they just threw something out there. They played what they felt like playing and kind of just saw how it worked. And now the plan is to lock down and actually do their real strats.
Yeah, definitely. We'll get into pick bands soon. A little bit of a roster problems. You know, as everybody knows, each team must have their roster on the game in LCS order.
And it looks actually like there might be some role swap. Phoenix L, who was playing support last game, might be moving up to be in the top lane.
It's possible, and Roche still stays in jungle, and it seems like Hey There Losers might be playing AD carry now. Sherman, the original top laner, goes down to support, and Sir Loxalot goes to mid, so we have role swaps between the mid and ADC and the top and support.
Yep, the only member of PAH who is now playing what they played game 1 is Josh, which definitely seems to indicate that they want to pivot and change their strategy a little bit.
So this will definitely, and now this comes a minute before the second draft starts, so this will definitely throw STS for a loop. And STS decide to take this opportunity and go for a break before game 2 to use this time to get a little bit of information down, get a little bit of scouting down on this new PAH lineup.
So the stream might be going to a break here for a couple of minutes, depending on what they decide. Bear with us, viewers, as we are currently working out with the teams whether or not a break will be happening between games 1 and 2, or whether we'll be continuing straight into the draft. In the meantime, I'm just going to take the opportunity to review, for the benefit of the viewer, what the state of the game is following patch 8.4, which dropped on Thursday morning and actually brought with it a huge number of little tweaks, adjustments to the balance of the game. Some of which are very big and obvious, some of which are subtle but still very impactful. So just right off the top, of course, you have the ability items getting really just comprehensively adjusted. Lost Chapter no longer builds into Morella Nomicons. It's now an ingredient in Luden's Echo, Hextech GLP, and Archangel's Staff. Just, there's too much to really go through entirely. So suffice to say, AP power items are completely different than they were before. And being as how this patch dropped 2 days ago, everyone in Risen has had very little time to learn and get comfortable on the new item set before this week's matches. In addition to the AP item changes, there were a lot of champion-specific nerfs and buffs that came down, particularly focused on top lane champions. Darius got a significant buff. Gangplank got a significant nerf. Gnar getting an adjustment. Same for Ornn. Poppy getting a buff. Renekton getting a buff. Jax getting not really a buff, but a bug fix to the way his Counter-Strike works that right through the Counter-Strike. They finally fixed the buff. They finally fixed that bug, which sadly means the meme is dead. So it looks now like the teams are ready, so we will be getting into draft soon.
Yeah. So comparing this to last game's picks and bans, I'm expecting to see same bans coming out from side of STS, but perhaps a different ban coming out.
Depending what their strategy is, I would not be surprised to see the brand get banned out here.
It's possible.
Maybe the Alawi as well, depending on how Krigmeister, the top lane for STS, felt with Maokai, because though he did kind of get stomped on throughout the early game, he was able to be very, very impactful by late game. And I feel like if you're a Maokai main, you just kind of accept that there's going to be games that you get stomped on early, but you end up playing well. And that's just part of playing Maokai, especially Maokai top.
Yeah, that's true. So what do you expect coming out from the other side? I would say that's... honestly, I don't think Veigar will be banned again. The other two, Skarner and Orianna, just both very powerful. I think the Orianna ban was needed. As we said before, the one problem in that game for side of STS was that lack of wave clear, which allowed PAH a low rate of hope.
Well, I think that PAH should either ban Orianna or maybe pick her, because while they did do some swaps here, I am pretty sure that Sir Gloxalot has Orianna in his champion pool, and it could be an option to first pick Orianna and then build a comp around her in terms of team fights and everything. But we are getting into bans.
Yeah, we're
so we won't have to wonder much longer.
Now this time PAH are on the blue side, so they get that all-important priority pick. The one thing
we see that Skarner, we get that Skarner ban coming down again.
Yeah, same Skarner ban, same Vladimir ban. So we are seeing a lot of the same stuff so far. And
the Veigar ban again. So far, we're 3 for 3 on bans. Same.
And there's not much to be said for these bans, as they're the same bans.
It honestly surprises me. Swain getting banned on the side of STS.
I would have to say that is a... oh, maybe this is just a hover so far.
It was just a hover, which doesn't surprise me. Kayle is a mainstay of PAH. They've done very well for themselves playing top Kayle. And especially if STS is planning on running once again a champion like Maokai, who just kind of struggles and doesn't have much in the way of oppressive power early on in the top lane, it would totally make sense for me if STS would want to remove someone like Kayle, who can just be very oppressive, and especially then in late game team fights bring the ulti.
So it seems like the scouting worked out for a side of STS, knowing this is what happens when PH are down a game.
You know, given between these two teams, I really thought STS would be the one that would keep their bans all the same. But PAH has banned out exactly the 3 champions bans. They've got to be planning something wildly different than their comp in the first game. That's the only thing that makes sense.
Pull the rabbit out of the hat with this first pick. Their all-important power pick, and Malzahar.
Like I said, that is exactly the kind of champion you want to pick if you're looking to shut down. So they didn't see fit to ban Zed because they want to counter him. So I have a feeling that this might have been what drove the swap, Maybe Sir Gloxalot looked at the results of game 1 and said, hey, I can play Zed. Swap me over to mid lane and let me play Malzahar, and it won't be a problem.
Yeah, Malzahar definitely good against that Zed. And the Maokai pick coming back again from the side of STS.
Interesting that once again it's first picked. Because for all I can tell, PAH does not have any record of picking Maokai, and they certainly don't seem terribly interested in banning Maokai, so I just don't understand why it's got such priority for STS.
It seems like Maokai has been decent enough. You know, he wasn't the one to make that game, but he certainly was not, you know, under the cover either. He definitely put his mark on that game. And Sejuani pick big change up from the Nilly pick in the first game. Going back to the meta, and this is definitely a strong pick. However, against the Malzahar, it's not like he can get a huge, amazing Glacier Prison, especially with that Malzahar passive.
And Janna pick. This is interesting. Once again, it looks like STS is bringing up this team that's very strong on front. And PAH is bringing another team that's strong on wave clear and push and very weak on front line.
So looking at this, PAH 100% looking to play for that late game.
Oh, absolutely.
And with this Janna pick, I really like it. Really keeps this STS off, and STS decide to go for that Nami, decide not to go for a tanky initiating.
Man, that's a really, really good pick against Tristan and Janna. If they're gonna go, Janna is just able like Tristan and Janna are just able to mitigate tanky control support so easily. Tristana can jump out of a blitzcrank hook. And Janna can, if there's a Thresh and Thresh hooks, Janna can just use her ultimate or her Q, her tornado to disengage. So Nami is just really strong because I'd say she's an engaged support who's very resistant to disengage with her bubble.
So the second wave of bans comes out, STS focusing down that top lane with that Sion, that Ornn. PH responding by focusing down the ADCs, Ezreal and Varus.
Once again, STS seems like they want PAH to have enough game where they go without a front line.
STS goes with that Twitch instead.
PAH so far still needs their top laner and their jungler. STS of course needed their ADC and their mid.
So they look to get that Jarvan in the jungle.
There it is.
Jarvan top.
Jarvan is a huge comfort pick for Rosh. I fully expect him to perform like crazy this game on the champion. And Shen, so they will definitely still have a very healthy front line.
Yeah, this is a very tanky front line, as well as that Jarvan. If he gets that Cataclysm and Malzahar ults somebody inside that Cataclysm, that is huge DOT percentage, max health damage. Every single word that Malzahar ult main loves, coming down onto everybody inside that Cataclysm. STS look for a mid laner to round this comp though. And I really just want to see them draft another source of damage. There is that Ziggs.
Ziggs, there it is. That's a source of damage right there.
I do like STS's responses to PH's comp. You know, PH early picks that Malzahar, early picks that Tristan and Janna. They are showing that they are going for that late game comp. And what do STS do? They pick an as powerful, if not even more powerful late game comp.
I still wouldn't say that STS has too much in the way of powerful wave clear here, although their siege is very strong with Ziggs.
Yeah. In this case, the Ziggs is their main source of wave clear on the side of STS, but you know, Ziggs does a lot of damage. Ziggs' damage against minions is nothing to sniff at. And
so with the teams going into champion selection, I just want to take a moment yet again. Let's just take the lanes point by point.
Yeah.
Maokai versus Shen.
This is a lane that I don't want to talk about because honestly I've had a long day and pretty much anything can cause me to fall asleep at this point.
Well, it isn't the most interesting. In fact, Maokai Shen is a pretty historically coin flip lane. Either side could end up taking it.
So this is very dependent on the junglers to make plays in this top lane.
Indeed it is. So, without further ado, let's go move right on to versus Sejuani. Oh, man.
A little side note, I would like to confirm this, or any viewers in the chat to confirm this. because personally I do not know. Sejuani's Permafrost is a passive that she grants to herself and her teammates. However, when Shen has his Twilight Sanctuary down, he stops all basic attacks. My question is, do Permafrost stacks still get applied when Shen is inside his Twilight Sanctuary? The damage, of course, will not be there, but will the stacks be applied? Because that's something that I personally do not know, and
that's a big deal. It makes a big difference. Oh man,
that's something
I don't know.
To find out. I'm trying our best to find the answer. But as we move back into the jungle from that little tangent there.
Yeah, I don't know. I would expect here Jarvan, of course, to be very, very passive early, which kind of mirrors how PAH was playing the first game, where STS was just a lot more active in the lanes. PAH was choosing to farm with the Riven jungle and see what happens. So far, no one in the chat has answered your question about Shen's W and whether Permafrost will apply stacks to him. But Chocobo Exodus has jumped in to say that Udyr can't stun Shen in his W. So it's possible that it mitigates everything, I guess.
If there is consistency, then yes, it should be the same, in which Shen cannot be stunned by Permafrost because he cannot get the Permafrost stacks onto him while inside his... the name's actually Spirit's Refuge. I've been calling it Twilight Sanctuary for so long now. Honestly, I think it sounds cooler.
It kind of does. Yeah. It kind of does.
So
I would kind of expect this to go roughly. Actually, oh man, I feel like Rosh on Jarvan is a huge threat. The fact that STS left that up is either confidence or honestly stupidity. We'll see what happens. But I definitely expect Rosh to have a huge impact on the game.
It seems like
especially post 6.
A low glitcher as one of the members of the team had a low client malfunction, and we are out of pick ban, so this will be extended on a little bit longer.
Just a bit longer, which is fine. Gives us more time to talk about the breakdown of lanes. Which, speaking of which, moving on, let's talk about Malzahar versus Ziggs, man.
Malzahar versus Ziggs. This Malzahar might have been a counter pick to that Zed, but Ziggs is not a Zed, so this is to a degree, I have to say, without jungler interference, this might be an even more boring lane than top lane.
Yeah, I would agree. I think Ziggs comes out ahead. I don't think it's an absolute curb stomp counter, but I do think that Ziggs, all else being equal, should incrementally gain an advantage over Malzahar. Without jungle, not accounting for jungle interference, I would expect Ziggs to stay up on CS. I would expect Ziggs to be taking levels faster, and I would expect Ziggs to take first tower, especially with his ability to execute turrets with his satchel charge.
Definitely.
So there won't be that situation like STS ran into with in game 1, where Zed was sitting there trying to take down this turret that was at under 500 HP for like 8 minutes. Ziggs can just take it down with his execute.
Walk up satchel charge, and if it's not low enough to satchel charge, his passive still does damage to turrets, and I believe does bonus damage to turrets. So Ziggs is definitely a great pusher, and that's the name of the game for this mid lane. Both mid laners looking to push out the waves so that they can roam fast enough to maybe top, but most likely bot, and that's where I believe all the action is going to happen in this game. This bot lane matchup between Tristana, Janna, and Twitch Nami.
Absolutely. I think that either Tristana or Twitch could run away with the game in late game if they get fed, if they get farmed. I feel like either Janna or Nami could both be played as kind of a safe farm enabling support. But Nami kind of has that ability to to run a kill lane with her bubble, and Janna has the ability to run a poke lane if she were to go airy, for instance, and like max her W, so she can just poke down Nami and Twitch, keep chunking him down periodically. So it'll be interesting to see, because both lanes could run a farm lane, but the one could kind of branch out into being a poke, and the other could branch out into being a kill lane, depending on how the supports play and how they build, what runes they pick, what summoner spells they pick. So, it's going to be interesting to see how that comes down, and I think we're not going to really know for sure until loading screen what the bot lane players on either team are planning.
Yeah, but I would have to say, between these supports themselves, this would go in the favor of Nami. I've seen this quite a bit. Even if the Janna goes W, and Janna is likely to go W since the patch 8.4, this has been the most prevalent build path, ability path for Jannas. Even with W maxing your Zephyr,
yes,
Nami still comes out ahead in lane, usually when it comes to sustain. Since Nami has true sustain, she has the healing, while Janna only applies shields. And if Janna if Janna wants to get that trade down onto the Nami, she will have to use the shield on herself as well as the Zephyr, leaving nothing for her A carry if she wants to actually get the trade down.
That is absolutely true.
The Zephyr only hits one person. Nami is able to get 3 bounces off of her ebb and flow. And
that is true.
This goes all the way in favor of, I believe this goes in favor of Nami, again, barring jungle interference.
More generally speaking about the whole team, PAH seems to have shored up their missing front line from the first game, and STS seems to have shored up their missing push power, their missing siege capacity. So both these comps are looking a lot more respectable, I'd say, than what we saw in game 1. And I have trouble giving this just out of hand to one or the other. I think if I did not know that it was Rosh playing Jarvan, I would say STS takes it. Ooh. just based on the edge that they're going to have in, like, the only edge that PAH is going to have is in Shen over Maokai, kind of, but not really. And Maokai can't, like we saw last game, can get dunked on all game and be 100 CS down and still be incredibly impactful in the late game. Can you say the same about Malzahar? Can you say the same about Tristana? And Ziggs and Twitch both take the lanes, I think, especially with Twitch being helped by Nami. So sight unseen, I would give this to STS, but it's Rosh on J4.
Now this I personally haven't heard of. I want to hear about this Rosh on his legendary J4. Is there a story behind this?
All I know is what I've observed from the match history of PAH and the performance that Rosh turns in the in-house games for Risen. But when Rosh plays Jarvan 4, it's really scary.
All right, so this is something to look out for. So we personally do not know very much, but it helps. It gives that air of mystery around it. Legends tell a tale of a man
who plays Jarvan
on his Jarvan, dunking left and right. There is safety in no lane when this man is on Jarvan. So we have gone over the champions for each lane, and as far as I can tell, this Nami has gone for the ignites. I believe Nami will be taking Ares, so there's no chance for this Nami to change it to exhaust later on for unsealed spellbook. So definitely looking for a kill lane from the side of STS's bot lane.
Indeed.
And here's something also notes: both carries on both sides have opted to take the heal. Now Malzahar usually goes for unsealed spellbook. There's a chance that Malzahar will be able to change that to ghost to teleport to whatever catches his fancy. Ziggs usually, however, is not one to take unsealed spellbook, usually going for the Comet or sometimes Airy. So
I just want to point out because just to loop back around and give a little bit more detail on my point. After reviewing the match results here for PAH, I can confirm that this season Rosh has only lost a single game when
We're not
he
talking
played
series
Jarvan.
here. We're talking individual games.
Individual games.
We're not
not
talking
series.
Okay, individual games. And here's
He
the
has
notes.
only lost one.
Yeah. Now here's the notes. Now this is a little bit of a going off topic, but PH, they don't have, so to speak, the cleanest games. All of their victories, except for their first victory, have been 2-1 games. So that does say all those losses. Rosh was not playing Jarvan, and except for one. So it seems like this is that hidden pick coming out from Roche, that sort of trump card.
Rosh has got that habit of picking another jungler in game 1, but then he gets serious and plays games 2 and 3 on Jarvan. The magic happens.
Yeah. And we are loading in, and we are able to see those keystones. We have mirrored keystones coming out from supports taking the Aerie, the AD carries taking the fleet footwork, and mid laners both taking spellbook actually, but there's a little bit of difference when it comes to top and jungle. Both members of STS's top and jungle taking that aftershock that is so good with these CC heavy tank champions, and Shen going with that Grasp of the Undying to help us sustain the lane, and Jarvan going for that electrocute to help his early game pressure even.
Absolutely. I think that this Jarvan 4, though Jarvan can be played pretty passively in the early game, I do not think that is what Rosh intends to do here.
Definitely not.
Him taking that electrocute and splashing precision seems to indicate to me that he's going to be doing some early ganks and just trying to get his mid laner and his bot laner especially ahead very early.
And we'll soon enough see if this Jarvan is able to have his work cut out for him, or if he has to really, really push it to the edge there. So we'll into this game too.
The biggest question I have right now is, will Phoenix get caught before minions spawn again?
Now that's interesting, because Phoenix is his top laner. He is on Shen this time. Now Shen has that Spirit Dash, able to jump out if necessary. Spirit Dash, Shadow Dash. I don't even know the names of Shen's abilities anymore. It seems like both teams are going for a pretty standard line of scrimmage.
Pretty safe. No one seems to be interested in invading. They just...
And we have a pause coming in. Perhaps some ping issues coming out from the top laner of STS. Well, we will get back to you on that. So looking at this, Sejuani only has one champion this time, that Maokai, to help her with the Permafrost. Usually when it comes to Sejuani camps, I do see more often a team would take a, like a tanky support, so that you have 3 champions, Sejuani and the top lane and the support, being able to proc that Permafrost. But with just the Maokai, it's something that will have a little bit of trouble scaling into the mid game with.
Absolutely.
As well as, ganking in the bot lane.
It's so taking a bit of time here to get the connection issues. Oh, but the pause is over and we're back in game.
Yep. And here we are, 30 seconds until minions spawn. Both teams, neither team looking to make any plays here, and with good reason. Side of STS are a little bit wary due to connection issues, and side of PAH honestly does not have nearly as good of a level 1 fight as STS, so definitely not looking to invade there.
Minions have spawned.
So now that Hypotheses has been confirmed, both mid laners taking that unsealed spellbook, I believe we are going to see a lot, even more fights in the bot lane than I previously assumed.
Oh, absolutely, especially with Jarvan and Sejuani starting at the top side of the jungle. I feel like one or both of these junglers is planning on a level 2 gank. And a level 2 gank at mid and possibly a level 3 at bot.
Yeah. Both junglers starting in their topside jungle, Jarvan taking that blue and Sejuani taking her red. So both junglers maybe looking for that level 3 gank in the bot lane.
Nami's starting very strong with those pokes.
Yeah. A lot of poke coming down from the area, as well as the fact that Ev comes back for healing. She can do damage and sustain herself up with one ability. Very powerful. Now, a little bit of difference this time compared to last time. Rather than an ocean drake, this first dragon is an inferno dragon. So, I expect to see a lot more fighting this time than last time.
I expect so as well, especially because, I mean, it isn't as clear right now that there is one.
Both junglers need each other in mid bot lane, and if Flag Drag hits on Corlu, gets the hit down, the red buff will not be enough to kill off the Sejuani, but a lot.
Flash is burned on both sides, and Sejuani will probably have to back and reset here.
Yeah,
leaving Jarvan free to pretty securely gank bot. So and he'll at least be counter jungling pretty hard.
Okay, so he will take that ground away from that Sejuani, and however, Rift Scaler was already taken by Sejuani, so not as much as he would like, and he is not able to walk down for the gank. Another thing, patch 8.4, Riot has said that the 4 outer blast cones in the crook of the Tribush in the blue side top lane and red side bot lane. And
the entrances into river from jungle.
The entrances into river, the official names for those blast cones, now spawn later. At this point in the game in patch 8.3, those blast cones would have spawned already, I believe. But in patch 8.4, no blast cones, no gank available from this Jarvan.
Which is unfortunate for him, but I don't know that it might. I don't know too much of a difference either way, because Twitch and Nami seemed pretty content to just sit back and farm under tower. But now we're coming in just passing the 4-minute mark. We can see that the CS in every lane is pretty dead even. Maokai is staying actually a little bit ahead of Shen. And everything's pretty even. Which, of course, means that the gold lead is pretty even.
That's pretty even, and top lane actually poking each other down quite a bit.
Looks like Sejuani wants to start something up there at bot, though. She's definitely looking to counter jungle a little bit, but she's sitting in Tribush. And if Tristana doesn't back off, she could be looking at getting ganked.
Yeah, at the same time, this Jarvan comes out, gets the flag and drag, as well as they flashed on earlier on. The smite comes down from Roche, looking to finish off this Maokai, but it's not enough. Decides not to go in as his flash is already down.
No joy as of yet.
Roche's. Now we see why Roche has had such impact with his Jarvan, but you know, STS, they're playing safe. They're not giving Roche the plays that he wants to get. Meanwhile, Sejuani still taking away that ground. However, Jarvan looking for a repeat gank. Maokai has back, teleport back, so he's at full health. However, does not have flash, so maybe a little bit too healthy for the Jarvan gank here. As Maokai gets that ward down into Jarvan's jungle. Just in time for blue buff to respawn soon.
Although with Maokai absent from lane, Shen has a little bit of a CS lead. It looks like Maokai probably is going to take it back in pure harass and trading. It's interesting, though, to see that we're now 6.5 minutes in and nobody has really made any attempt at warding the dragon. And in fact, compared to last game, there is a lot less teams, just generally speaking. You see, obviously, the wards setting up to protect the river entrance to bot lane, and you've got a couple of deep wards up on the top half of the jungle from either team, but for the most part, you just really aren't seeing much. Although, as I say this right now, Jarvan is setting up a little bit more vision as he plants a ward and seeks to take Rift Scuttler.
As he's slowly pacing his way around the river, takes that Rift Scuttler finally, and looks not to gank bot lane, but to return to his own jungle as his red buff will be coming up soon. Maybe mid lane, but Ziggs still has everything up. A little bit low on mana though. And an early flash, preemptive flash coming out from the Ziggs. We're really afraid of that Nether Grasp. I think a really smart move on the side of the Ziggs. However, Jarvan is still level 5. There's no Cataclysm available. So he's a little bit behind on Sejuani at that part. Sejuani already level 6, has that Glacial Present, has that intense ganking power. As I say that pretty much everybody around the game starts to hit level 6. These supports on either side still a little bit down.
I actually think that we might end up seeing a decrease in trading, as both supports, once they hit level 6, they kind of unlock their most powerful chunk of disengage with Janna's ultimate, of course, providing the pushback, and Nami providing the wave.
Definitely.
So there's just a lot less incentive to go all in after level 6.
Alright, Nami is level 6 though. However, the Tidal Wave still has potential to engage, and they're looking to engage. Sejuani coming in. The jump comes down from the Tristana and the Buster Shot as well. Here comes the Glacial Prison onto Sejuani, and this is a dead Janna. Ignite also
Very strong combination.
Yeah, very well planned.
From Straight Up and from Corey LS94. I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce that, but let's say Corey.
Yeah, let's say Corey, and they do push out that wave, look to take that first dragon of this game.
And Tristana just does not go in and contest that in any way. No poke, no harass even, really.
Malzahar, Ziggs is zoning off that Malzahar, so... However, Malzahar still tries to get something, as Jarvan actually came down off the side. Dragon is secured by the Sejuani, however, and a little bit higher up in the top lane. Both teams disengage on the bot side, as they trade over the Ziggs for the Dragon. I'd say it's still worth it for the side of STS. Shen rooted underneath this tower, a little bit too far for the Maokai to keep engaging.
The presence of the Infernal Drake is a little interesting here, because last game it was very clear just from that one team was going to want to encourage the 5v, and one team was going to want to keep the action more scattered, but with both teams running a little bit more of a balanced composition, that just isn't a factor anymore. And I have to wonder how they'll have to shift now with STS once again, now because of that Infernal Drake, being a little bit more likely to want to take the big team fights.
Definitely, they are. Well, I wouldn't say that they hit the power spikes as soon, because the build paths for both ADCs, both mid laners, are relatively the same.
Absolutely.
But they do have a little bit of edge up from this Twitch. He's down 10 CS but up a kill, so he's up a little bit of gold. And yeah, definitely a very high impact game coming out. Especially from these junglers. Wow, this... compared to last game, Roche still pretty passive, but... Yeah, compared to last game, he's more active. And here comes the Tidal Wave, catching out the Janna, getting that hit down. And Janna forces that monsoon. Here comes the Sejuani in the backside. Janna is just dead in the water there.
4-man gank there, and her ultimate could do nothing to save that.
Yeah.
Man, I just have to wonder. I have to wonder. Been a better idea. Wait and bait out the bubble before using the ultimate.
Well, this Malzahar might be a little bit too far up as well. 3 hits to the permafrost, no 4th hit, so There is no more push onto that. And here comes the Glacial Prison hit onto Tristana, and Tristana is just dead. Gets
Pretty nutty dive.
Just great plays coming out from the second line.
I think the better play there by Tristana would probably have been to back off to Rosh's position and follow him back into lane.
Definitely. Very, very scary for Tristana to stay there per lonesome, especially against 4 members. Their first turret goes over to that satchel charge.
Ooh. This is very, very definitely going to put STS in the advantage going forward.
Yeah, a lot more decisive than last game.
We talked a lot in the draft about how a lot of it's probably going to come down to the bot lane and how the bot lane fell out. But with STS so decisively winning the bot lane so early on, I mean, we're at the 12-minute mark and they took first turret in bot lane, and they've got an Infernal Drake.
Oh, and here comes the Malzahar looking for a little bit of damage onto the Maokai. Maokai has not built any measure resist items, but a counter teleport coming in from Ziggs. Malzahar might be proud here. He's between a tree and a stick of ice, I suppose, on the side of the forced to flash out.
And they just bounced straight from a 4-man bot lane to a 5-man top.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I'm kind of wondering if they've got it in the cards to take Rift Herald. They have very strong
tidal wave
vision
comes out. Shen gets hit up even during a Shadow Dash, and this jungle plus bot lane combo is making waves here.
I'll tell you what, to me that indicates a really remarkable lack of coordination from PAH, because Malzahar was there in the river. He knew most of STS was there in the river near Rift Herald, and Shen still played way too far up, so I have to wonder if maybe there was a breakdown in communication that resulted in that gank.
As Maokai trying his best, trying his darndest to keep that turret alive, but it's not enough. Tristana jumps in, tries to get a bit more damage out, forces the flash out of the Maokai. Maokai already has that chain miss, so...
And this has turned into a full-on lane swap.
Yeah. And here, STS looking to secure that Rift Herald, to secure that turrets.
Which totally makes sense, because they already secured the Drake and they secured the tower in bot lane, and now that they've secured the tower in top lane, you would throw the champions on your team there further along their build path at the next big objective, which is Rift Herald, which they have now taken.
Now, I do not want to throw PAH completely out of this game yet. Oh, a smite. Stealing away that blue buff away from the Jarvan. He's already low on mana, now he has it back, because he has no more resources left to work with. And that, I love that combo right there.
They're just throwing the Rift Herald. That was actually amazing, because Rift Herald, like, they saw the advantage that they'd gained, they saw the opportunity with Rosh being forced to back, to throw down a Rift Herald and take the first turret in mid very, very cleanly and easily.
Yeah. However, I do not want to throw PAH right out of this game just yet. Now, they are behind, but still the same as last game at this point. They were down in kills at this point in last game, but the gold is still pretty close, only about 1,500 gold apart. And they're only down one turret, and it's a top lane turret, not so influential at this point in the game, except for a little bit of bonus gold.
That's true, and I have to give PAH this. They're not chasing their losses. They're not throwing themselves into a fight too late this game and just following up a death with more death. When they see 4 people on the other side, from the other team on the other side of the map, they're not rushing to get over there. They're rushing to the nearest objective and taking back the tower.
Malzahar is caught out, forcing the ultimate out of Shen, but it's not enough. That shield is not enough from all that damage coming outside of STS. STS keep on chasing it. They want Rosh. Get Rosh. The bubble is dodged by both members, and a great Janna bubble. Takes away 3 members. Ooh, and the W out from Maokai stops the Shen's teleport. Shen, doesn't appreciate getting his teleport interrupted. Looks for a kill onto the Maokai, forcing the ultimate out of Maokai. Shen keeps on chasing though. His Shadow Dash will not be up for a little bit.
Oh, and
no blast cone.
The blast cone not being there is just possibly
Shen just in range for that taunt, looking to get that kill. However, in the meantime, the whole time, STS secure that dragon. That dragon was not challenged as the jungle was too low, and
you know, I was about to say that I didn't really understand what with that what Maokai was going for with that attempted dive onto Shen. But if you think about it, Shen's the biggest threat
when you're trying to do something like take a big objective on the bottom side of the map, Shen can teleport in, Shen can ulti onto someone and shore up an attempt at contesting Dragon. And the fact that Maokai kept him running around and baiting him meant that Shen was out of the equation and they were able to take a very clean Ocean Drake here.
Right, very good. So 2 dragons now on the side of STS. Maokai gives his life over, but who really cares about the Maokai's life? Least of all the Maokai. Even if Maokai was down last game, he'll end up coming back. He always does.
Yep, absolutely.
And now, once again, even though the gold lead, the turrets do not seem so bad for the side of PH, it is, I have to say, it is in the way they play these fights that is really their downfall here. They're not really making many aggressive plays outside of the Germans, a couple aggressive plays in the early game. And now,
it's actually something
really... Inside Glacial Prison gets that bomb just completely annihilating that Malzahar, and here Shen is up ahead, but Shen might be taken down the whole time. Twitch is free firing in the backline, takes down the Tristana, takes down the Shen, and 3-8 finish off. Ooh,
that is a triple kill for 3-8 on Ziggs.
Double kill for the Twitch ace for 1. And this is getting out of hand here.
This is definitely inner turret going down. Could be inhib turret depending on how the death timers
so
work
many
out.
Deaths came in such a short amount of time. Couldn't even realize it. And it looks like they will be going for that inhibitor turret. They did save that cyber charge, so it looks like they are technically on 2 turrets, and they will take down 2 turrets, especially with that cyber charge, just straight up finishing it off.
I'm realizing here that there actually is something that STS has done very subtly and very ingeniously to mitigate the threat of Rosh's Jarvan. What's happened basically is that Jarvan is one of those champions that he'll play a pretty passive game early on, usually, and then he'll hit 6 and the ganks are just going to be relentless and it's going to be awful. You're going to have a bad time in laning phase post 6 if Jarvan is in the jungle on the other team. But what does STS do? They recognize that and they say, you know what, let's push down turrets as fast as possible and end laning phase before Jarvan can really get into that window and do much damage. So basically, STS is using their power and map influence and control to say, we're not going to have laning phase anymore. We're into grouping up stage. Exactly. And that really hurts what Rosh can do to get himself ahead on Jarvan and use Jarvan to get his teammates ahead in their respective lanes. Because there are no more respective lanes.
Exactly, very subtle to the untrained eye, but if you notice, now Jarvan, he can play his warriors and his Serrator, but after that, no more damage coming down, as Jarvan is very squishy as well, gets hit with the Permafrost, and Jarvan is completely out of place, no
Oh, and the whole team out of nowhere.
And it might be a little preemptive, but we might see Roche's second ever loss on Jarvan in Dominate.
Yep. Which would, to remind our viewers, put PAH down out of the top 4 seed and force them to fight for the first round of playoffs.
Yeah. If PAH win the series, they will be able to secure their first seed. But if they do not,
if they lose, ULP hangs above them in Division 7-3 record as of today's FF that they won, which would mean PAH would end 6-4 and be disappointingly second place in their division.
A strange thing there, but all is well. Anyways, back to the current state of the game as STS look to reset 20 minutes in. STS is resetting, and however, they're not allowing all of STS to reset. They caught out a little bit, gets a Vengeance Bomb back onto the Malzahar. And a 1-for-1 trade, not the most ideal way to recall into your base. But I believe this is only a mere bump in the road right now.
That's the good old ARAM recall special.
So 21 minutes in, just looking at this Twitch, 21 minutes in, this Twitch would be very happy if he just had the 2 items. Now he has his 2 items and an extra quick silver sash on top just in case. Why not, you know? getting onto this Twitch would be nigh impossible. Also has that Iron Sensor coming out from Janna, not the Janna, the Nami. Even more damage for that Twitch. And
I think that at this point, all PAH really needs... I mean, not PAH. PAH would have a very long up to close out the game at this point, but STS, to close out the game, they need Twitch to stay cautious, they need Twitch to stay back. Because what started to happen last game with Zed, who was similarly overwhelmingly fed, was that he got a little overconfident, he got caught out a couple times, and that was what started to swing the game in PAH's favor. So if STS can keep Twitch safe, if Twitch can stay back, resist the urge to go in too deep, to go in two-man mode, I think that STS can just slowly turn the screw and close this game out.
And however, this is getting more and more difficult. 2 Infernal Dragons on the side of STS now, and 1 Ocean Drake. About to be another if the game goes on that long. Next dragon will be an Ocean Drake for our viewers. And they're just rotating up to Baron here. They're not stopping. They want all the they want everything. They took the cake. They want the crumbs.
If they get Baron here, if they honestly, they want to get a Baron, they want to get picks. If they get either of those two things, I think they have a very good chance of closing out the game on the very
sleeping on this.
next
Grasping
push.
keeps the rest of the team away as Phoenix Cell goes down to half health. Gets hit with the longest range Glacial Prison I've ever seen in my life. Corey keeps on going, does not want to stop. Twitch is free firing. Twitch takes down the Tristana's counterpart. And now they're just going to turn right back to Baron. All of the members of PAH are too low to fight this. This Twitch is immense right now.
I'm not sure what Rosh is doing here. Rosh just idly pushing up mid lane, running back into the jungle. Is he hoping to steal some value back by stealing the blue buff?
Well, one could think that he was trying to keep the mid lane pushed up, get rid of the minions, so that STS weren't able to abuse Baron and power minions, but he didn't even get the minion wave there. He got wolves for his troubles.
And STS will choose to reset here instead of pushing straight into the sieging right after Baron. But I think this is actually smart. It's a safe play, and they don't really risk anything by doing that.
They are very far ahead.
Yeah, they honestly should be taking the safe plays here and just slowly grinding out the advantage.
And you can really see that advantage coming down onto builds. Zig's going with that full non-stop AP build. Second item death cap, very, very aggressive here.
Of course, he's got that. Rabadon's death cap, having gotten the buff where it now increases ability power by 40%, up from 35% in the last patch.
Very important. Zig scales very well with just pure AP.
And Luden's Echo now, no longer granting movement, now instead granting an additional CDR.
Yep, 10% regular CDR and 10% unique CDR. Done that just so one person cannot have 30% CDR with a Luden's Echo plus a Lost Chapter. A little bit of good oversight from right there. And 2 members jump onto the Maokai, but he's still very tanky. Maokai still has Grasping Boots, does not have Flash, but does not need Flash. And now it's a straight up 2v2. 2 tanks versus the 2 top laners and the 2 junglers going at it. And all the members of PAH are here. They're trying to finish off the members of STS. They finally take down Maokai, but will not chase onto Sejuani. Decide they can't chase on Sejuani as their base is under attack right now. Base is under siege. The bot lane of STS is still going at it. Zig's trying his darndest to stop the backs here. They actually managed to stop the majority of them. Tristana and Jarvan make it back, but I don't think they're enough to fight the Twitch. Sejuani goes in. Still has that Glacial Prison. The resulting fight will start as soon as stop as soon as it starts. I'm telling this. 3 looking to get a little bit poked down.
I'm interested by the fact that STS has not
the
seen
fight has started and the
to,
fight has just stopped. Just like that, Sir Loxalot gets locked up and taken down. Trying to go on to Janna, but Janna still zones herself out. Takes down the Jarvan from the incessant Zig's poke. In the end, Tristana takes down Sejuani with help of the tower, but bot lane of STS still poking down, still pushing down. 1 inhibitor down. looking to take that second inhibitor at that respawn in the mid lane.
I can't help but feel that it was a little bit of a
stuck in between
and
a
an
rock and a hard
inhibitor?
place.
Sorry, an inhib turret and 2 inhibitors?
For practically nothing. In fact, they won the team fight.
Destroyed. Blue team's turret has been destroyed.
I think this is it. We are probably going to see game 2 1.
And this might be a under 30-minute game 2 here. Very decisive plays coming out from STS, taking out the entire ring of inhibitors. They look to reset here. Just they have a lot of breathing room. Inhibitors do not respawn for another minimum of 4 minutes from the bot side in that bottom inhibitor.
Although, with Baron buff going down now, this decision to reset means that they are back for a little bit and regroup before they push in. It's going to be a little bit harder for them to take those Nexus turrets now without the benefit of the Baron buff.
A little bit indeed. And instead of Bear Mode, they'll just have to work with a additional siege minion in each lane. Currently 9,000 gold up. Most of that gold on that Twitch. The exact person you want. Twitch with 3.5 items now. I don't think the Twitch actually uses Quicksilver Sash yet. He's never been in a situation where he had to.
Nope, this Twitch has not come close to dying all game, which not too long ago is what I said. What STS needed to do, keep Twitch safe, keep him from going, and Twitch needed to not be overconfident. He needed to not try to duel. Instead, he's gone in and he's kind of threaded his way through these team fights really carefully. Done a good taking down Tristana, who is herself sitting on almost her 3rd item. So she's getting to the point that her power spikes are starting to hit, and she is starting to get a little scary.
And STS look for one final siege, but a good crit onto the Ziggs makes it a little bit scary, you know, reconsidering his position here. But good heal from Nami as STS pushed down every single lane. Bot lane is still a little bit pushed out, but will soon join. And the big damage comes out on turret from the Ziggs, from his passive. One inhibitor turret falls from Sash Charge, the other non-inhibitor Nexus turret falls from Sash Charge. The other one's still up, but only for a moment longer. As all 3 waves come crashing down onto the base of PAH. This is their final stand.
Their final stand, and
Here we start with the Glacial Prison missing. Grasping Roots and Tidal Wave comes down, only knocks up the tanks. However, hey, Tristana is actually still alive. Tristana takes down Sejuani, still alive in the backside. This is the first fight Tristana actually stay alive for the longest time, but the turret is down and members of STS are onto Nexus. Tristana can't do much, and in convincing fashion, STS take game 2 under 30 minutes, 2-0, side of STS.
so both STS and PAH will be going into playoffs, but not a top seed. We will be seeing them yet again in the first round of playoffs.
Alright, so with that being said, now I believe every single member of Division 2, the division that we are watching today, have their final standings.
Is that the only one we were waiting on? I believe was Int versus MA after. But if they've
Int
got
versus MA, actually very important.
Yep, Int versus MA. Int won 2 and which man, oh man. That means that whether it's Int or ULP depends on the Int versus ULP head-to-head rating record, which I am checking right now.
Here's the thing, Int has never played ULP. Actually, no, ULP has beaten Ints. This is way back in early January, so that means ULP is the first seed coming out from Division 2.
Ladies and gentlemen, ULP.
However, ULP is not the first seed in all of Group A. It goes by the divisional records. First seed will be going over to PSI from Division 1, followed by most likely Division 3's UI, RPO from Division 4, not guaranteed, just speculating as we just check up on the stats here. Yes, RPO will be the number 2 seed in Group A. Number 3 seed taken by UI, and here we go, coming in and 4th seed will be UOP. Now back to our current game, PAH and STS. Does that mean STS make it to playoffs now?
Yes, they absolutely do. There was some doubt as to whether they would. I mean, still made it to playoffs without winning a match, but there was always the chance that the rest of the matches played today were going to fall out in such a way that they just ended up on the outside looking in. But fortunately, when they clinched this match, they clinched their slot in playoffs, so they are in. Man, oh man,
That's really interesting notes. I believe out of the 5 members of Division 2, 4 of them made it into playoffs.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is slightly more than average. Of course, average being 3, so it's not much of a difference, but really good showing coming out from Division 2.
So I'm kind of once again just having a little trouble thinking of I'd want Game 2 MVP and subsequently Series MVP too, because obviously Twitch was incredibly impactful. Nami did such a good job as well with keeping him alive.
I want to
But
say that was
Maokai
Twitch.
kind of was undercover there, controlling the flow of the game, just by virtue of being willing to bait and die and leave space on the map for Ziggs and Twitch to go in and take objectives like crazy. I am inclined, as of right now, to say that Twitch gets the Game 2 MVP, but Series MVP goes to 3-8 on Zed and then Ziggs.
Personally, I agree with you when it comes to the Series MVP. 3-8 doing a lot of work on both champions. Of course, while he was not the instigator or the crux of these fights, the damage is nothing to sniff at in that 6 game. But I might say that the Series 1 MVP might go over. Personally, I might think Sejuani. It's strange because it's easy to get MVP when you're jungler. You're the reason
true.
why fights happen. But she played those fights out very, very cleanly. Her glacial presence were all on point. And
oh my word! I just happened to look in here at the damage chart, and Ziggs dealt 19,000, almost 20,000 damage to champions. The closest one in the entire game to that was Twitch, who came with just over 10,000, which means that Ziggs dealt almost twice as much damage as anyone else in the game to champions.
that is incredible right there, and definitely deserving by the MVP of this match and of the series. 3-8. Well, not like MVPs actually mean anything.
Yeah, well, it's just something nice that we
Fun
say
little
about
tidbit.
people sometimes.
Right. But that concludes it. It's everything. That concludes this week's series from Risen Esports Dominate League, and that concludes our regular season split as well. Tomorrow we will play with the last group, our Champions League, their final game, before they head into playoffs. And after this, it's all up in the air. In the week between now and next week, playoffs start immediately. The staff will look over all the stats and decide on the playoff seeding. And we will come back here next week, exact same time. There's no breaks. There's no train on the Risen. There's no breaks on the Risen train, so to speak.
I don't know about you, but I am very excited.
Yeah, definitely a lot of quality showings coming out from Dominate's League. We'll be back tomorrow, 7 p.m. for our Champion League. We'll be back next week, starting next week, Friday, 7 p.m. for our first game of the Risen Rampage playoffs. And we'll be back for Dominate League playoffs, the exact same time, 7 p.m. EST, Saturday next week. Yeah, don't miss it.
All right, for tonight, we're signing off.
Right,
Bye, folks.
We are signing off. I have been Odwis with my co-caster Ottercook, and we wish you a good night.